Hi everyone! Today you're going to paint with me Neko warrior Kohaku, which was the hero of her own village. But guys gave me a little bit too small size to paint because it's my first time, so I'm a little bit inexperienced in this field. But I think we can do something about it. Whoa, and that's the perfect size for me. Okay, let's get started. The Neko warrior miniature represents Kohaku. She's one of the very first models created in our studio. Kohaku is a hero you can bring to life in all kinds of Dungeons and Dragons adventures. Okay. So, today we are going to paint with acrylic paints because they're affordable and you can buy this in any art store. But, first of all, I think we need way more space than that. So, first of all, we need to pour some paints to start proper painting. Okay. So first of all, I choose some basic colors because, to be honest, you don't need many of them. You just need to know how to mix them, and that's the basics of paintings. Okay, let's get started with some simple shades like beige, brownish, something that will suits perfectly to our Neko warrior. I think we should choose something from the warm palette, but also cold. So you have the nice contrast of all of the shades. As you can see, I pour just a little bit of all of them so I can mix them freely later. And as you can also see, I choose just the simplest colors so I can mix them on my palette and make something spectacular of it. Blue, I have it already. Okay. I will start with her clothes because they are darker than her skin, and since it's acrylic paint, it will perfectly cover all of the previous colors. So, oh nice, that's a nice color. It's a bit like a cherry. But don't worry when it doesn't cover it perfectly. It's just the first layer. And you don't have to worry that your plastic figure doesn't absorb all of the paints. I think it looks already quite good. So let's paint her skirt. Oh, perfectly. And you could add way more paints than later because it's a first layer and you have to fill all of the gaps so you won't see any kind of dark gray dots after all. Oh wow. This is actually quite satisfying. When you give a life to your figure, don't be afraid to mix different colors in different spots. Don't be afraid to be clumsy with these figures. Maybe I'm more brave with that because I know I have an XXL version, which it's not so, it doesn't have to be precise, but at the same time, I think you can get what I mean with don't be afraid with making mistakes, because even mistakes bring something special to your art. As you can see, I chose more of warm colors on the upper part, because in that way you can show some light and some kind of a dynamic to the colors. And your figure won't be boring. And don't you worry about all of the mistakes because later we're gonna cover them. So, as a base colors, you can just mix them on your figure. Don't worry about covering too much. As you can see, I'm using a lot of colors and a lot of paints. But of course, if you're gonna have a smaller figure, which is usually the size of my hand, you won't use that much, so it's more convenient. But also, you're gonna be more precise. But as I said, with the first layer, it doesn't really matter. So don't you worry and enjoy the process of painting. Since it's a plastic figure, you can easily mix your colors on the figure. So you can see the surface, it's not absorbing any paint, you just have to wait till it's dry and then your final color stays. But till then you can easily mix them, happens. You can easily mix them to get the color that you want for the final result. Since it's a big size, since it's a bigger version of normal figures, it takes quite some time to paint it, but don't you worry, it's not gonna take you so much time, especially with the first layer, because of course you won't have to cover such a big area as I have to now, but it's way better because I can show you how you can mix many colors in actually one material, because I'm painting her skirt, so I can show you that it's one type of a fabric, but with all of the shapes and curves, you can experiment with the shade of paint that you mix with particular parts. I'm mixing many shades of blue, red, and purple to give a nice basis for further coloring. When you have something like this kind of curve, you can give their darker shades, so it feels like it's deeper and more shallow and less shallow. Yep. And don't you forget about this kind of gaps where you should reach with your brush, because you're gonna see that in the smaller figures that it's actually important to reach all of the small places, difficult to reach. But it makes a difference at the end, since it won't look so clumsy because it's the first layer. But yeah, it's a first step is the most important because it's a basis. So I'm adding here warmer. I'm adding here colder shades. Colder shades will make it feel like it's a shade. And warmer will show you which parts are more visible. I will add here like just a little bit of shade of this color, because I know I wanted brown with some golden parts, but I think it's perfectly fine when I'm gonna mix it with this kind of shade, because also it will show you how light works. So since it's very heavy, it's extremely heavy. I think guys have too much faith in me, but that's okay. It's actually fun. As you can see on the plastic, the first layer doesn't look perfectly fine, like it's not covering the whole shade of gray. It doesn't cover everything perfectly, but that's just the role of the first layer. It's a good basis, but that's not the final touch. But as you can see as well, since I'm using acrylic paints, the second layer make a good work. So, as I mentioned earlier, on the more visible parts, I'm adding warmer colors to show it's closer to the observer, and the ones that are more deep are with colder shades, so to show you the contrast between what is further and what is closer. It does make the shape visible, and all of the curves are enhanced. Now we are painting leather parts of the outfit. Of the whole composition. And as you can see, I apply it the same way as I did with her clothes and fabrics. Kohaku is an exceptional warrior whose tale is full of courage and determination. She was born in a small village on the edge of a defense forest where cats and humans lived together in harmony. From a very young age, Kohaku displayed incredible combat skills and quickly gained a reputation as a talented fighter. When Kohaku was still young, her village was attacked by a savage pack of barbaric wolves. They wanted to claim the land and destroy the peace that had existed for generations. Kohaku stepped up and led the defense, guiding her people to victory. From that moment on, she became the protector of her community and swore to shield them from all harm. Over time, Kohaku underwent intense training perfecting her fighting abilities in both traditional felling techniques and human martial arts. She mastered hand-to-hand combat, became skilled with weapons, and developed advanced tactical strategies. Her fierce determination and passion turned her into one of the strongest warriors in the entire region. But Kohaku wasn't just a fighter. She was also a master healer with deep knowledge of herbs and medicines, skills she used to care for the wounded and sick. Her medical expertise was just as vital as her combat skills, making her an irreplaceable guardian of her people's well-being. Kohaku became an inspiration to both cats and humans in her village. Her bravery, wisdom, and kindness attracted those who needed help and hope. She proved that different species could live together in harmony. Her adventures as a Neko warrior became legendary throughout the land. Kohaku continues her mission of protection and justice, always ready to defend the weak and fight for peace. Her courage, strength, and passionate heart make her a true hero. Where to get your own Kohaku miniature? You can grab the STL files and print your very own Kohaku right now at rpgfigures.com.